Before looking at the many enhancements for weldments and parts, it's important to take a look at one of the many subtle enhancements in SOLIDWORKS 2014. When working with thin parts, users would often see edges from coincident components bleed through the surfaces of thin parts, which you can still see when we zoom and rotate. In SOLIDWORKS 2014, though, these now go away when you stop rotating or zooming on the model, sure to make for much more stunning screen captures and a more pleasant view to the user. When working with weldments, managing the many profiles provided by SOLIDWORKS and those created by each user can oftentimes be overwhelming. In this case, we've downloaded the SOLIDWORKS ANSI profiles, and within the rectangle profiles, there are 233 separate files to manage alone. What happens when you want to add your own custom properties or modify these files? Oftentimes, this needs to be done on a file-by-file basis. SOLIDWORKS has completely streamlined this entire process with the introduction of configurable weldment profiles, perfect for managing all of your unique sizes. Now, instead of subfolders for type, there are simply single files for each type of profile. If we open one of these files, we can see the file is populated with a vast amount of profiles to choose, all from within a single file. To further benefit from this, all of these profiles can be created and maintained using powerful design tables to rapidly create all of the different sizes. This is done leveraging simple Microsoft Excel concatenation and speeds up the entire process of creation drastically. Back in the weldment, we can see that the property manager has not changed at all, though now we simply choose a file instead of a type folder. These are noted by the configuration suffix at the end of the file name. From there, configurations work much in the same way, in this case selecting a smaller profile to switch to. And because all of these profiles are created not only from the same part, but the exact same sketch, there's no missing references created when switching either. Configurations for weldment profiles makes the whole process a lot easier, as you can easily include custom properties all with a design table shown before too. While on the topic of configurations, let's create another version of this table, specifically a square version as opposed to this rectangular one. An easy way to change this design would be to simply enter the same value for the depth of the table. But a more powerful way to do this would be to apply an equation. However, equations in the past have been consistent across all configurations of a file. Now in SOLIDWORKS 2014, however, equations can now be specified as configuration specific. We can see that the dimension has the drive-by equation symbol next to it, and if we go to the equation manager, we can see this equation listed. However, when we switch configurations, the model returns to its previous size and the equation disappears, as it's only solving in the specified configurations. This is sure to add more flexibility and powerful control over your designs. When adding holes for fasteners, sometimes a slot is a better choice, as it allows for more tolerance in mounting conditions. The Hole Wizard in SOLIDWORKS 2014 now supports slots. Specifically, it supports three types: slots, countersunk slots, and counterbored slots. When this hole is changed to its slot counterpart, there are options to control the slot just like a hole. More control is available in the placement sketch, where you can define the orientation of the slot using the provided construction line. You can add dimensions to this line, specifying the angle, or simply add a relationship. Additionally, you can control the slot length here, or when returning to the Hole Type tab, it can be entered into the unique field specific to slots. Some of the simplest features are the most enjoyed by SOLIDWORKS users. When creating an extrusion in SOLIDWORKS, users who want to cut in both directions can now, instead of choosing through all in two separate directions, they can simply choose through all in both directions, a simple yet convenient time saver. When deleting features in SOLIDWORKS, you now no longer need to worry about child or dependent features being deleted, as you can now deselect the option to delete child features. All of the child features are preserved, but with warnings as some of their references are now missing because we've deleted them. Let's replace the plane we just deleted with a new one. When you create reference planes in SOLIDWORKS, you can now control the direction of the normal condition, giving you more control and ensuring that any downstream changes affected by it are in the proper position and orientation. Now, to redefine the missing references we removed previously is easy as selecting the new plane. And because we set the normal direction, nothing has changed or presented a warning. While on the topic of reference features, SOLIDWORKS 2014 has provided more conditions when creating reference points. Specifically, when creating on-point conditions, reference points can now be placed on sketch points and the endpoints of lines. Also, intersection now supports the virtual intersection of an axis on a surface, axis on a plane, and the intersection of an axis and an axis, all without the need for the geometry to physically intersect each other. Three-dimensional design allows you to extract vast amounts of knowledge about a model using mass properties. Now, interpreting these values is easier with support for non-mechanical or more traditional volumetric properties. You can now use volumes such as liters, pints, gallons, and more. This is useful when utilizing these values in custom properties or cut list properties. Finally, cut list properties are often critical for the manufacture and detail of the individual pieces, and it's important to preserve this information. Now, when saving a body from a weldment with cut list properties, you can choose to propagate this information over to the new part. You can choose whether to preserve this information in the new file's own cut list property information, or move the data to the custom properties for the file. Furthermore, when you look at the properties, it's clear that this information is derived from the cut list item. In fact, should the original design change, this information will update accordingly as it's linked to the parent file.